Well, ahoy, and welcome back to Journey of Sailing Yacht Syrinx. My name is Rich, and in the last few weeks here, we've done a lot of work clearing our little boatyard in the woods. When we decided that we needed to clear the area for the shop and grade it, because we didn't want to drop any timber near where the boat's going to be. This project became quite a bit more complicated. So it's been several weeks. We ended up taking down quite a stack of small alder trees. You can see them stacked behind me there for firewood. Did a lot of grading, had to dig out a lot of rocks, scrape off quite a bit of topsoil, stack it in stacks so that we can use that for grading when the building work's done. You don't want to put crushed rock or gravel down on topsoil. It just turns to mud, and the gravel will just sink in. We're fortunate here to have very sandy topsoil or soil underneath the topsoil. So once we get to that layer, it drains really well and grades nicely. So doing that. I mentioned we were going to work with a timber company to take down a few of these large trees very selectively. We want to leave enough around, for the forest ambiance and for all the forest creatures, and allow the trees that remain to actually become more full and grow. We're leaving up a number of the big cedars. Have to take just a few down that are here on the footprint of the wood shop or where the boat's going. Or that are directly leaning toward where those structures will be, because we get very high winds here on Camino Island. It's 70 miles an hour, not uncommon at all. So we want to make sure that we don't have a large tree break off or come unrooted and take out our structure or our boat project. So come on along, and we'll show some of the work that we've been doing over the last several weeks, getting ready to bring Syrinx here. They want to have me get that out of the boatyard soon, so I'm on a bit of a timeline. Hey, I just thought, since it's delayed our boat project for several weeks, I thought I'd better say a little more about the Bobcat. This Bobcat is a 2011 T190 skid steer loader, rubber track skid steer loader, and it's going to be instrumental in both the boat and shop project. It's already been instrumental in clearing the land here, and we're not quite done. This is something for years, as we were building our house, I rented these at a cost of $400 or $500 a day. And when I would need them, and it's difficult to do work that way. You got to work so fast, and the cost adds up crazy fast. And I debated for, frankly, years whether or not to buy a used one or not. I was worried the cost and is it going to break down on me or not. I shopped and looked on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and everywhere else, and there's a whole bunch of complexities with shopping for a piece of heavy equipment too. They don't title in the normal way you would title a car or something, so you get a lot of scammers, and it's a tough thing to shop for, just to put it honestly. I finally came across one, and the timing was perfect because we're starting on this shop, and then the boat came on the scene. And so a few months ago, I purchased this and used it for quite a bit here to do, probably 14 hours of work already on it. Had a minor problem with the drive, the belt which drives from the motor to the hydraulic pump which powers everything, including the motors that drive the tracks. So for the last several weeks, I've been working on fixing that. That didn't take long, but I took the opportunity to go through the entire machine with a fine-tooth comb, make sure that it's going to give us years of service. I don't want to be dealing with this when we're working on the boat or the shop or what have you. Um, I'll give you a walk around of the machine here and kind of show you what he did. It's probably, I want to capture it on film because it's never going to look this clean again. Although I am not going to let it get as dirty as it was when I got it. I literally took an overflowing wheelbarrow load, large wheelbarrow load full of dirt out of the inside of the frame of the machine, which was no easy task in and of itself. That was several days' work just to get the machine clean and power washed. Okay, I'll give you a quick walk around of the machine. So these are useful because you can put so many different implements on it. I have a bucket that it came with, almost new bucket, and then I picked up a used set of forklift tines, heavy duty, 4,000 pound. Actually, I think the machine's only rated for around 2,000 pounds lifting, but the forks are rated to 4,000. So those forks will be useful for everything from moving those logs behind the machine there to any large timbers or loads of lumber. We might get, you can put a platform on it if you need to get up on something. They're very useful. You can even put a boom attachment on there to use it as sort of a mini crane. Going through the Bobcat here, we kind of, I had to take the sprockets off and the tracks off to get at the hydraulic motors to change the fluid in the motors, which is supposed to be done every 500 hours, and I'm pretty sure it's gone more than that. While I had everything off, I decided to wire brush and clean the undercarriage and give it a coat of paint, not so much for cosmetics, but to allow us to clean it more easily, and when we're done using it to get the dirt off of it and see where it's clean and where it's not. Here's the engine. It's got a 4-cylinder Kubota diesel, pretty rock solid little engines, and went through, power washed the whole engine, took apart every electrical connector on the machine to make sure there was no water in there. They've got really good connectors with triple silicone bulb seals, but made sure nonetheless that they were all clean, put dielectric grease on there so we wouldn't have any electrical problems over time. All new filters, so there's 4 different hydraulic filters, oil filter, fuel filter, new coolant, new air filter. There are 2 air filters. Went through everything, made sure we're starting with a good start. Always label the filters here. My writing's not good, but let you know what time you put the filter in and how many hours the machine had on it. So the previous owner that had this for quite a few years, he ran a little dirt business, and he took good care of it as far as greasing everything frequently, which was good, almost to a fault. But he did keep it outside, and it was a little worse for wear from that. There were a lot of moss growing on areas of the machine, and it took a lot of cleaning to just get it kind of cleaned up. I got a canvas tarp to cover it with, a nice heavy one, so that hopefully it will be able to keep it from getting that way again. But otherwise it's in great shape. When we did all the hydraulic changes, the filters were absolutely pristine in the fluid, which that there weren't bits of metal or anything that would indicate like you're getting a motor coming apart or anything. So knock on wood, that it seems like it's a solid mechanical machine. This is Bernie, our terrier. Hey Bernie, what you doing there?
What you think about this thing, Bernie?
Come on here. Bernie's pretty curious about it, everything. Obviously there's a million grease fittings on these things, and well, not a million, but probably about 20, and went through all those, cleaned out all the old grease, put in new grease. Basically they were overflowing with grease, and you couldn't even see the fittings or the zerks in some cases to get at them. So I cleaned everything up and then made sure there was a nice good coat of grease in there, but not so much that you couldn't see the joint. All right, what are we doing here, Ronan?
So right now we're pumping some grease into the Bobcat and getting it all ready to go. My dad just finished working on it. He did a bunch of painting and yeah, I'm just learning how to. This is my first time and
I see you wore your grease shirt.
yeah, not my brightest move, but
anyway,
okay.
You're learning how a grease fitting works, which is the good thing.
Yep.
They're on every single machine you're going to run into.
Yep, I'm ready.
While we had it apart for the cleaning and the service, I went ahead and painted the interior as well. It was nothing but rust, and so did that. Replaced some rubber bits, like the boots there on the control handles are new. They were rotting and letting dirt get inside places it shouldn't get. Fixed some tears on the seat, and the backing, just put that back on with some contact cement that was coming off, and cleaned everything. New grip tape on the entryway and on the floor so we won't slip when we're getting in and out. So anyway, there she is. Haven't given her a name yet, but I think it's going to be a good investment. I think the plan is to utilize her for doing the shop in the boat project, get some landscaping done around here over the next couple of years, and then maybe sell her on to somebody else when that's all done. I think that's going to be a better financial investment for us than the $500 a day rentals. So glad to have it as part of the project. All right, well, several viewers in the YouTube comments have asked us about what we are planning to build as far as structures for our little boatyard in the woods to work on the restoration of Syrinx. So I want to spend a little time and go over that. As soon as we move Syrinx from Port Townsend to our lot and onto the kind of level prepared gravel pad that I'm almost done building, the first structure to go up is going to be a Gothic arch boat shed. These are familiar probably to anybody who views many YouTube boat building videos. This is the type of structure that Steve Dennett and team built for Acorn to Arabella. John from great channel new channel Living for Sale, he's about an hour north of me in Bellingham. He built a really beautiful one for the fiberglass sailboat that they're restoring. So yeah, things are nice about it. You know, they're wind resistant. They're relatively easy to construct. Very efficient. Shed snow, shed water. I have as a starting point these Stimson Marine drawings and build plans. But I'm going to engineer this. We have a fairly rigorous permitting process in our county, and I am a licensed professional engineer in Washington, so I'm fortunate I can do my own engineering. And I will engineer it for lateral loads, wind loading, snow load, planning to affix it in the ground via concrete footings. We'll have an auger there to do the pole building I'll talk about next. I'll rent an auger attachment for the Bobcat and do all those footings at one time in one day. So should be pretty straightforward. So that brings us to the shop itself. So adjacent to the boat shed is going to be the wood shop, and planning to do a pretty conventional pole building that will have a two-story section in the middle with one-story side sections. 12 by 12 sliding barn door as the main door, an 8 by 8 garage door, and a man door over on the right. As far as structures go, we're going to use kiln-dried graded lumber for things like the posts and purlins and trusses. It will have a an engineered truss for the main roof in the center, and then just roof joists on the side roofs. But as I've mentioned, we're going to use we're going to bandsaw the lumber that we take down to make room for these buildings, and do Western red cedar rough sawn board and batten siding for the siding and for the window trim. Let's see, so besides that, we're going to have a corrugated steel roof and corrugated steel wainscoting on the first 3 feet, just where you get that splashing coming off the ground. So that's the construction. Really important to make sure we've got enough siding to do and trim to do this. So over the last week to that end, I've done a pretty detailed takeoff from this drawing. And I've also been out there, as the videos will show, surveying the trees and kind of marking them for, make sure that we've got enough wood, enough logs saved to be able to get what we need. So I've gone through each log. They vary from 10. They'll vary from 10 to 14 feet in length, and different diameters. You've got to account for that. You've got sapwood and bark around the outside as well, and other elements of waste. But long story short, I've done a takeoff of the siding and the trim, and planning to keep a fair amount of excess too, just to make sure we've got plenty and don't run short on wood, and the rest of it will get sent off to the lumber mill. Well, today I'm out here marking trees that are going to come down to make room for the wood shop. As I've mentioned in a previous video, we're going to take some of the better pieces of these logs and mill them into board and batten siding for the wood shop. Board and batten siding is nice if you're using unseasoned or somewhat wetter lumber, because you're only fastening one side of the board, and then the battens cover the gaps, and that way, if you get any shrinkage, it's got the ability to kind of adjust without pulling on 2 fasteners and cracking the piece of siding. So we've taken a look at the trees and figured out areas where there aren't branches coming out, because those are most likely to have nice clear sections with very few, if any, knots. And so I've decided to keep four big logs out of this, and the rest will go to a lumber mill for somebody else to use as lumber. We've minimized the number of trees we've had to take down. Want to keep as many of the native trees as we can here, and yeah, and that's what we're gonna do with the timber we take down. This sunny, bright spot is almost exactly where Syrinx is going to go. We're going to put her there after we do some final grading and put get it all level and put down a nice layer of crushed rock and gravel. Well, it's 2 days before Christmas, and that's where we stand with the Syrinx project. We have completed most of the clearing. Met with the logger this week. He's probably going to be a couple weeks out from being able to take the trees down. unless he has a break in his schedule. So sometime mid-January, we're going to be looking at moving Syrinx here. I wish things were moving a little bit faster for you guys and for myself, but I kind of remind myself, I look at some of the great boat building YouTube channels, you know, the Tally Ho or the Acorn to Arabella, and the first, you know, 6-7 episodes are kind of logistics of just getting the project going, getting the shop, getting the materials together. And we're kind of in that phase right now on Syrinx, so I got to be patient. It'll come. We will have much more in-depth boat building content coming your way sometime in the next year. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate all the YouTube comments, likes, subscriptions, that kind of thing. And I want to just take a second to wish you a very Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, whatever holiday you may celebrate this time of year. Please enjoy it with your family and take care.